stands, although the victor does get taken off the table for the second game of the series.
Interesting that it's the Victor ban here. We've seen a couple of the other teams here in Demacia Cup go for it as a first pick, so that being taken away, seems like they're really trying to focus on 1xN's champion pool, at least within the last, this past tournament, taking away the Misfortune. There's no Leona setup, so from Chris, we're probably going to be seeing a Rell or something like the Alistar, already seeing it locked in here, so getting their strong bottom lane duo. What is 1xN and Feather really going to be preparing here? Because now you don't even have the Renata, so more likely you're going to be seeing a Braum come out from Feather, and I'm assuming that they're going to be having something prepared for this kind of matchup on other parts of the map if you can try to play for it.
And even though this Corki could get flexed into the mid lane, I imagine that it would be in ThunderTalk Gaming's best interest just to keep this marksman pick for 1xN so that you are not running out of potential marksman champions for another, at the very least, one more game, or, you know, more if ThunderTalk are able to, you know, find some wins in this or for the rest of the series. Now, the Zyra, that's one of the few AP champions that still can be such a terror to deal with for any team that allows her to kind of get through the first couple clears without any interference, because then your objective control is insane. Your ability to, you know, create so much space and hold so much terrain and zoning is almost, you know, second to none compared to a lot of other champions in the game right now.
And I think it's great just because Beichuan in years past has been such a big proponent of playing AP junglers. I think that this year, the fact that his team wasn't really able to find success with him playing AP junglers was a pretty big mismatch in styles. He's one of the players that was really popularizing bringing AP junglers into LPL, so kind of sad to see that his team wasn't able to make that kind of work done, as you know, the whole year, or at least the first half of the year, was dominated by these champions. So going with the Zyra here, I think, is really cool, not only in the fact that it gives them a bit of range. I think for what TES tend to play, which are some low range compositions from the top side of the map, Zyra adds so many different questions that you now have to answer, and with a Viego on the opposite side, you're asking for a lot of overreach from TES. They really have to overextend themselves to be able to find a reset onto someone like Zyra, who can optimize for something like Azonia's. You have the Corki and the Nautilus. There are a lot of tools here from TT that I already like. So coming into the second phase bans, we see Ambessa and Jin gone here for TT, or for TES. TT, however, getting rid of some mid lane champions. I wonder if they're also going to try and take away another one of these top laners away from 369 that they're trying to prepare for. Instead, just getting rid of some mages from Creme. Macaulay's already gone. You have the Silas now taken away. The Orianna one, I think, is a bit more interesting to me.
What does Creme want to pair up with in this Viego? Anytime you have a Viego on your team, you want to get a consistent amount of pick potential, as well as single target lockdown, or just a lot of burst damage. Misfortune kind of fits the bill for burst damage, but it does require you getting an uninterrupted full channel ultimate. The Ahri will help guarantee that a little bit, and also plays into the reset theme that you have going on here for top esports, but it does give 369 counter pick opportunity now for ThunderTalk. The Ezreal being locked in, so this is actually going to be Corki mid lane. I don't think we would be seeing Ezreal mid, but this is now a lot of mobility and survivability for both of the marksmen here in ThunderTalk.
Okay. So, I think the damage for TT is in a bit of a weird spot. So you're going to be having Beichuan and the Corki, as well as the Ezreal, really starting to chip away at their opponents. And it's going to be on, you know, Hoya and Feather as the main engage to not only be able to tank up damage, but also secure those kind of kills for the team. We're getting 369's Mordekaiser, one of his, you know, his top most picked within the last year, but a champion that he has been able to find varying levels of success throughout the years. I'm excited to see what we get from him here. Mordekaiser seems absolutely miserable to play in this game, but in the lane here up against Maokai, I think this opens up so many options for them, and it's these kind of pocket pits that work so well in a fearless draft, right? You're taking a champion that is particularly niche, and you're trading it. When you look on the opposite side, there's not going to be, going into game 3, there's no Nautilus, there's no Corki, there's no Maokai now. So you're kind of losing, you're taking away a champion while not necessarily giving away, I think, the most high priority of top laners. So this should be really fun to see. I think we have a lot of strong lanes here coming in for TES, which, again, I think accentuate some of the players' strengths when we talk about this team.
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened for Top Esports and ThunderTalk Gaming in the previous game. The fact that Top Esports were able to get so much control of the map through the natural laning prowess of both Creme and 369. Creme in particular, thanks to Kanavi giving him that extra little push and snowball, with all the focus being put onto SeTab in the first couple of casts of that ultimate through the vibe plays. Top Esports now, if you're able to break up this 5-man from the side of ThunderTalk by keeping a Maokai in the side lane, since Mordekaiser doesn't necessarily thrive, as you already called out, into things like Ezreal, Zyra, or Corki, because either they're too far away for you to close the distance in, or in the case of Zyra, trying to walk through Zyra plants is just a absolutely tragic and miserable experience, especially if you don't have any mobility of your own, and Mordekaiser has pretty much none outside of his flash.
All right, we're getting here into game 2 of our semifinals, our last semifinals before we go on to the grand finals happening in a day's time. 2 days, actually, happening on the 29th. So exciting stuff, especially for TT if they are able to win the series. A lot of momentum, 3-0 in their individual group, then ending up taking, a big win, I think, up against LNG. Seeing them here in the semifinals is so exciting. And for TES, a team that hasn't had a lot of time to really kind of cook in this tournament. They've only had their single quarterfinals, but one of the last remaining favorites here as we go forward into the grand finals after this.
Yeah, and the winner of this series goes up against anyone's legend for, those that didn't get a chance to see their own respective semifinal series and their progress throughout the entire Demacia Cup. They've had a pretty notable rebuild of their own, picking up the likes of Tarzan, I think, was probably one of the bigger names too.
What is that?
Hang on, hold the phone. That was a disgusting amount of damage just put onto Creme.
Thank you to the Corki changes when they reverted him to being an AD champion. Also, and just Feather, that hook just does not need to land. That's great. I love Nautilus.
Moment.
They have Ignite as well, so this is another matchup where Creme in the laning phase is going to have a bit of a tougher time. We're seeing again the lane swap here. Kanavi immediately crossing over into the bottom side, wants to try to take as many of these camps away, especially with these high value camps. For someone like the Zyra, we want to see them be able to hit their first and second item spikes really, really early on. They're high resource intensive junglers. So by taking the Raptors, I was surprised to see TT's mid lane pair not immediately trying to crash down and try to find where Kanavi is, but I think they're more than comfortable with just trying to find the 2v2 here. And if 369 is not careful with him TPing up to this top side, they know Beichuan and Feather are in the area. This could turn into a very ugly dive in the next coming waves. I don't think Chris is going to have time to really get all the way around this map, especially with Feather and him kind of forcing him around the map.
And it's just so hard to actually deny camps from something like a Zyra. The fact that if you still have access to a second quadrant after your first clear, you clear camps so fast, and you're able to easily just transition this over to a potential dive. As 369, he's doing a great job of holding the minion wave and killing it against Hoya, who can't really do that much damage, just as a Maokai flashes the dredge line from Feather, and now they have to initiate the dive, but Feather's starting to take up the turret shots, and he has to drop aggro because they're not going fast enough. Beichuan takes a nasty amount of damage off of that last turret shot since it had been ramping up, and now Chris is actually doing enough base damage.
Wait a minute!
The flip! Holy kaboli! 369 and Chris might have just outplayed this turret dog.
What
are you doing? Just go in! But there's no minions to take it up. It's just absolute disaster in the top side, and 369 and Chris just made ThunderTalk look like Thunder Clowns.
Oh, wait a minute, Chris is still looking now. Beichuan's back, the wave isn't crashing just yet. TT, if they want this to really work, they need to be able to get this. This entire time, Kanavi has been farming, so if this does not go the way of TT, the game is over from a jungle position.
Now he gets the shield from the crash down.
That's
Finally,
one.
they pick up one kill, and the second one, the nightmare is over for ThunderTalk, but it is just begun, because here comes Kanavi. Beichuan has no choice but just to execute himself to the minion wave, as now Kanavi will pick up at least one kill, finds the dredge line on the minion to close the distance against Hoya. He's trying to get the killing blow, but the flash for the Riptide not in range. It is just another execute for Hoya, but man, oh man, Alk, what a way to open up this second game.
So the kill score at the top said that there are 3 kills. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 deaths. Half of them are this turret. This top tier 1 for TES is 3-0 right now. Insane stat line for the game. He has the other half of the kills. He's stealing him from the top top scoreboard right there. What a messy dive, and Kanavi was able to maximize by getting camps, by even able to pick up the rest of that top lane wave if he really wanted to. ThunderTalk just did not apply enough pressure on the opposite side. I want to take a look at this replay here, because again, 369 did such a great job. Hoya does no damage of being able to shove this wave, and so this is now like 2 or 3 waves too late here for TT. And I think 1xn's just like, okay, the minions have to be hitting. Maybe he thinks, oh, it's this minion here, it dies. So 1xn thinks he has enough damage, and it's just perfect shielding coming in from Mordekaiser.
Oh man, I'm just at a loss for words, because you can tell that ThunderTalk obviously wanted to make this play as easy as possible, and when you have an opportunity as Zyra to completely full clear both of the top quadrants before them making a play, obviously the confidence was high, as that, oh yeah, we have 4 members here, this should be the freest and easiest dive in the world, considering how much potential resources they could have gotten. Instead of making that play happen, it just goes to show that top esports just really capitalizing and punishing what could have been a huge snowball for ThunderTalk that is now, I mean, it is still a decent advantage for ThunderTalk considering that they have 2 kills to 1, but it could have been so much worse.
Kanavi's trying to make a play for this, and you know that Creme has ultimate. I think that you should be looking for this, especially with how close Kanavi. If he can get another kill, if he can steal another Grub, this can be them setting up with a really big win. 369 is here as well. TS should be contesting this last Grub for sure, I think, in my opinion.
Hoya tries to lock up Kanavi. Doesn't have flash anymore, but they get the
reset.
kill, and he's gonna get. Oh, but he just dies right before looking for the possession of the reset. SeTab flashing away from 369, looks for one last mace blow. Creme doesn't have enough mana. Oh my goodness, SeTab survives with less than 50 HP off the back end of it. The big hero for ThunderTalk.
Honeyfruit coming up clutch there for ThunderTalk. As they make it happen, they get themselves 3 Grubs, huge win, as well as the fight. They get themselves also some of the summoner spells. More importantly for me, the ult out from Creme. Though it is a low cooldown, they expended a lot for that, and they ended up making big on the play. I just want everybody to look at this honeyfruit. So first, we start onto Kanavi. It's really unfortunate for TES. If they're able to get this reset, it's great, but Creme came from mid lane with less than 20% max mana. He comes in, he's only able to throw maybe 1 or 2 spells. He gets his ultimate off, and then this right here, 1 honeyfruit. One of 369 didn't grab one of them. So yeah, SeTab just gets 3 of them, and now we're making a play into Creme. SeTab gets another kill. It's now 6-2 in favor of TT. They can make a look onto this dragon. Early game, yet again, going over to the favor of ThunderTalk.
Dimitri, things are looking up for the ThunderTalk squad. I mean,
last game, I'm not getting hype. I don't want to get baited.
you know what? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And we don't want to fall into the pit trap of, getting excited too early. And considering the disastrous dive that occurred, if that happened to us in our flex games, this game would have already been over. We would have been waiting in the base. We would have let top esports walking on in, but strong resolve, strong mental from the side of ThunderTalk to continue pushing forward. And now that SeTab 3-0-1 on this Corki, very accelerated, a very different look compared to what we saw in game one, where it was SeTab on the receiving end of a lot of jungle pressure and being put, further and further behind, where Creme was getting the advantage. The fact that this Corki is going to come online a lot faster as now. 1xN is in trouble. He's in the death realm with 369, and Feather is going to try and give him assistance once he pops back out. And 369 does flash over the thorns from Beichuan and will at least trade 1 for 1 before trying to retreat back into the safety of his own side of the map, but doesn't have another second cast of that shield. Does go down to Beichuan. And top esports, at least in their top laner, will find an advantage by himself.
Man. It's unfortunate for 1xN that he ends up going down in that trade. It takes a lot of, I think, the wind out of TT sails. Looks like TES do want to try to make this play. They're bringing over 3 members to die of Hoya. Oh, no W now.
Nice shattering strike into the crash down guaranteed combo. Kanavi picks up the reset as well. We saw a true shot barrage from 1xN trying to kill the minion wave to give Hoya a little bit more time, but just not enough to survive. Top esports still trying to find their way back into stabilizing this gold deficit they find themselves in against ThunderTalk. Will be able to pick up first brick of the game. Nice amount of gold injected back into their pockets.
Good structure take here coming out from top's bottom lane, as they've really focused on making sure that JackeyLove is able to get gold for himself as a large portion of their teamfight damage. When we take a look at this game with the Misfortune alongside Creme, looks like they're going to be investing teleports from the 2 solo lanes here, as TT trying to make a siege for 3 grubs. 40 seconds before the next dragon. Without them taking a recall here, I'm expecting them to stay out on the map. Beichuan has already finished the Leandries, so I think unless you're going to be moving JackeyLove over here, who only has the Bloodthirster, and I mean Bloodthirster has a lot of base AD on it, but I think you're still missing some of that crit chance. This is going to be a tough fight coming in for TES. They need to be able to make miracle engages, and the big thing for me is going to be these 2 supports now hitting level 6. Can we see masterful engages come out from either Feather or Crisp?
And for ThunderTalk, as long as they are the first ones to the objective, that makes the Zyra setup so advantageous for them, and so much more difficult for top esports to try and brute force their way through. As Hoya already being the first one to rotate as the top laner over to the top side of the map so that they can be in position to get that second rotation on spawn. As they're trying to get wave prio, but they're dropping it for now. 1xN slowly shifting his way to the Grub pit, as Kanavi is going to be the first one into the river.
Okay, that's 1 Grub already taken here for TT. Corki's going to have first move into this play.
Feather was looking for that engage. Hoya already throws out the ultimate. SeTab, and making his way on over. Hoya has lost a huge amount of HP, below 50% HP.
Feather.
Kanavi gets this huge smite. Crisp going in onto the back line. A lot of damage from JackeyLove through the bullet time. Feather's the only one that's taking up really any damage. And Kanavi goes for the first reset, finds the Nautilus, flashes right on top into the back line, and here they come. But SeTab manages to pop Kanavi before he gets another reset in. SeTab trying to empty the full Corki clip.
What
it's starting off as JackeyLove picking up a quadra in the back half of it. He was left unchecked, and when that happens, JackeyLove will be the victorious one.
He does not get answered in that fight. He's knocking on the door. He's saying, guys, there's a Misfortune hitting your backline. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? No answers from TT. They pick themselves up a big team fight win. It is still 5 grubs here for TT. So if they can make a good use of this objective, then we can say later on that this team fight doesn't end up doing all that much for TES. But I love this engage coming out from Feather. He finds this, immediately he's pulling a lot of attention onto himself, and even Crisp here gets the flash ultimate. I mean, this Misfortune ult does absolutely nothing. Beichuan actually flashes into it. He maybe feels bad a little bit for JackeyLove. Says, look, okay, fine, I'll give you some ult damage on that one. But Creme on this Ahri, not applying enough pressure, is able to come in on the back end of this fight. And I think for TES, some of the woes from last game is the fact that I think that their solo laners really didn't kind of get on the same page. We didn't see them link up with Kanavi. You're seeing an engage here.
He has no flash from before, no Heartbreaker since it's still not off cooldown. Barely survives, managing to live through the burn as the rest of ThunderTalk are able to bully the rest of top esports away from that first tier 1 turret. True shot barrage. I was curious to see if he was trying to look for a miracle snipe onto Kanavi as he recalled into the base, but might have been a little too early, maybe just going for the minion wave instead. But ThunderTalk managing to pick up their first turret of the game in that top side. Second dragon of the game spawning in 30 seconds.
Look at the gold advantage right now for TT. It is really, I mean, it's only 1,000 globally here for TES in the advantage, but when you look at where that gold is, it's 4,000 onto JackeyLove, and the opposite side, mid jungle here for TT is doing a fantastic work, kind of some fantastic work when you look at almost 1,500 for Beichuan, 1,500 here for SeTab. If there's ever a realm where we kind of see this mid jungle take over, I think it'd be a kind of a beautiful homage to the UCal experiment that we've been seeing for the past couple of years, where yeah, we have some Korean mid laners, they're still playing here, and we're getting some similar high performances up against teams that we're expecting to be able to win Demacia Cup and also have really great performances coming into LPL 2025.
And it puts a big highlight for SeTab and Beichuan to really sync up because, as you pointed out, JackeyLove is really the only person on the side of top esports that has a massive gold lead. But the fact that he is a very squishy misfortune puts out a lot of damage, but it's a glass cannon, so it's also pretty frail if left isolated. The question does come down to ThunderTalk. How can you set up those engages? Because, you know, a lot of your damage dealers are not necessarily built for diving. They're built for poking, keeping range distance, and allowing top esports to be the first ones to, or the ones to walk in if ThunderTalk get the setup first. So big task and, you know, tall orders for the side of ThunderTalk if they want to try and shut down JackeyLove, as he still has both summoner spells available.
Okay. If there's ever a point where TES can try to find a win, 4 minutes from now you have a dragon, 4.5 minutes is going to be a baron. JackeyLove is scaling really, really well. We talked about that goldie that he had for himself. Just finished his second item. 1xN has only just now finished the Trinity Force. So when we're talking about, you know, a great bottom laner that has done really well for this team so far, it seems like so far in this matchup versus JackeyLove and Chris, him and Feather have not really found that same level of success that they have throughout all of Demacia Cup. And if JackeyLove in 3.5 minutes time is able to generate a similar amount of gold in that time that he has in the last 15, he's going to have 3 items coming into this fight. That's going to be a huge boon for TES moving into what looks like to be their sole point.
It's a good Rift Herald from ThunderTalk, just trying to get some chip damage onto this tier 1. Hopefully to be the first ones into that Dragon Pit so they can deny that soul point potential from top esports, as you were mentioning. Creme on that top side of the map, picking up another tier 1 turret for top esports, 3 to their name. Has teleport available, as looks like he just got a base in, or he actually TP'd to the bottom side of the map so he can be here early. Watch for the way Creme is going to look for a flank and just try to pressure the backliners, because since JackeyLove is already so fed, as long as JackeyLove is being unpressured in these fights, it's not really on Creme or Kanavi to try and win the backline fight for you. You're just disruption. You're just looking to make sure that JackeyLove is having the time of his life, and he will win the fight for you.
And Creme right there, the teleport is mostly just to be able to match to stop them on that push from being able to grab that. Ends up being somewhat of a wasted TP, as eventually they are going to be able to grab this. Again, 5 grubs is just so inevitable. We saw part of the reason why Team 1 was able to win the World Championship is the fact that they were able to recognize how powerful grubs are and just overload one side of the map, take all of your turrets, and then say, okay, well now we have massive gold. You're not able to match on the same side of the map. We're going to then do the same thing on opposite sides or look for really advantageous fights. That's been kind of their bread and butter and how they ended up winning. So glad to see that teams are starting to pick that up. We're getting TT utilize the grubs really well, which is another theme from game 1 that we had. But in the same game, they still lost out on a bunch of team fights. We didn't really get to see SeTab have a great performance, and now it's kind of on a different foot where 1xN this time around is having a bit of a struggle as Ezreal in this game to be able to put down any real amount of damage, and it's SeTab who, now coming in, almost finished with his Muramana, will probably be done in the time for the Dragon, although 320 stacks is a bit tough. Beichuan's also starting to lose access to jungle camps. That's not what you want to see when you're playing the Zyra jungle.
Yeah, but that's going to be the case when Misfortune is allowed to roam from mid lane after getting the first shove against something like an Ezreal, which is pretty easy to do, given the amount of wave clear you have in your kit compared to Ezreal's. And Kanavi gets a little bit more control. And this is where Kanavi historically in the LPL has been able to really accentuate his strengths and his prowess as a jungler whenever he's able to work with his lanes to get vision control, because then even against something like a Zyra who you know, in a matchup against Viego, you would imagine you should always be the one, you know, accelerating the state of the map, being able to rapidly clear your jungle compared to a Viego. That doesn't matter if you don't even get control of your own jungle to begin with, because you've got, you're trying to deal with a 5-0-1 Misfortune who's burrowing his way into your own camps.
I just realized Hoya has ADCS at 19.
That's tough.
That's tough. Look, the level 2 dive didn't go well. And he's just been playing Maokai into Mordekaiser, which is pretty miserable. Oh, we're finding an engage.
And you know what? An
Woo!
engage on a support might not seem the most ideal thing, but it allows for a 1 reset for Kanavi, and having access to something like a Nautilus guarantees any pick falling up onto something like Hoya, who has been isolated thanks to the Death Realm popped by 369. And just like that, Alk, Top Esports, 2 free back-to-back kills creates a 5-3 man advantage on the map.
I mean, what is Feather doing? Like, so yes, he gets caught out. You can maybe argue as to whether or not, like, that was a reasonable area for him to be in. But after he gets caught, he just, like, throws his hands on the keyboard and just, like, he flashes, he presses all. Okay, let's take a look at this replay. So he's defending the river bush. That's fine. He's defending blue side ramp into his, or red side ramp into his jungle. He gets hit here. Beichuan flashes out, and look at what Feather does. He just flash, hooks the wall, ults Kanavi, dies anyway. Those are tools you're going to be missing, especially with Baron up on the table coming up soon. So I think TT are just kind of losing the plot a little bit, and it's unfortunate to see here, especially with how much hype and excitement was coming around. Them winning up against LNG, what I think was a tall task, but up against TES, it seems like the match has been made here, and TES are kind of showing why they were automatically seeded into the bracket stage, why this team is one of our favorites to win out of the entirety of the Demacia Cup, and has a lot of riding on this tournament, especially when we talk about the fact that so many of the other tournament favorites are already gone so early on here.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter that, you know, this is a new, or, you know, a different roster for Top Esports as we get another fight into the blue side jungle. Kanavi might have gone a little too far on that one. No resets for him. Chris taking a lot of damage from SeTab as he flashes back over the wall. Creme looking for one more reset off of this Orbit Deception. Now gets another cast of that Spirit Rush. Should be fine. True Shot Barrage
from
1xN. Woo! And Beichuan is going to get the kill credit thanks to the burn from the Liandry's Torment, but that is all credit to 1xN having the guts to be able to go in with that Arcane Shift, find the little bit of extra damage, and it's just a nice hero moment for him. You know, 0-3 and 5 does not tell the story just from that fight alone.
1xN flash, Arcane Shift, finds Creme, gets his Summoner spell as well. And at the very least, I think it maybe just stops them from being able to immediately turn towards the Baron here. Kanavi misses out on the Spectral Maw, ends up getting turned around by TT, and they're able to find the enemy jungler here. And I love what we get from both JackeyLove and Creme. They apply pressure into a really small choke. 369 on this Mordekaiser is just putting in work. This MF ult, while it looks, I think, a little bit funny, maybe Twitch chat has a little bit of fun with it, it splits up the fight in a very meaningful way. And once this True Shot Barrage lands, it's the flash, the eat forward, Creme not maybe expecting. It's also the Zyra damage that comes through and finds that kill. So, like you're saying, 0, 3, and 5 happens. It's not his fault. That kill probably should have gone over to him. But still, the game is very tough. The gold is still starting to climb back. 3,500 gold here for TES in advantage. And we've got Dragon spawning in 2 minutes. Looks like they're going to try and make a play and look for Summoner spells.
Oh, and Feather was trying to lock down Creme on the entrance there, but goes a little too far forward. Is still surviving, but can't say the same about Beichuan, who fell on the right side of that fight. And with the Death Realm popped, there's nowhere that Hoya can go once again. And we saw why this Mordekaiser was locked in as soon as they saw the Maokai. Yes, the Maokai, even with no econ, with no gold, you can still be reliable. But if you don't get to be in the fight at all, then you don't get to really play the game and contribute to the side of ThunderTalk.
If TT were able to snowball this game, I think we could have seen a little bit, oh my god, SeTab, what are we? We are just going forward. Okay, respect. I mean, he knows he doesn't have ultimate. He should be able to just pressure them off. Remember, 5 Grubs hitting on mid. This will be the Baron here for TES. But what I wanted to talk about before, am I going to be allowed to? Creme?
I mean, SeTab is going to try to create as much space as he can, but Creme, no flash, but JackeyLove should be easily able to auto him over the wall. I mean, I think it's fair credit to ThunderTalk just getting whatever they can on the map right while top esports are going for that Baron play. It does force them over to respond, but this is such a difficult state to fight through, and I have to give admiration to ThunderTalk wherever they can find these small windows to just fight their way back into this game, despite how insurmountable it might seem.
This is why I had some hesitation about this draft coming out from TT. Is the Maokai and the Nautilus can be really great front lines, but you're very much... Oh my! Oh, Crisp!
I mean, they're looking for the engage. Really nice setup from Chris with the Shouting Strike into the crash down. Hoya already flashing the hell out of there. 369 wanted a piece of that pie as well, but doesn't find anyone with that mace. But the rest of top esports, they sent the message. They have full control of this red side jungle. No crumbs will be spared on the side of ThunderTalk Gaming for them to pick up. And with 19 seconds left before this dragon does spawn, it is top esports Cloud Soul to claim.
So they get a little bit more. I think big one for me, no flash on Hoya and Beichuan does mean this dragon should be going over to TES. They have the gold lead to kind of back it up as well. They're going to very easily take this objective. The only kind of small glimmer of hope is, I will say, TES were not able to, I think, extract the most amount of value out from that Baron buff. The Baron buff actually just ended up being used as more so them being able to push. 1xN tries to go for the True Shot Barrage Steal, doesn't end up making it happen. It's still about 2,000 damage off. And really during all of that play, TES just barely able to get some damage on the mid lane. SeTab is just dead. That's a flash from 369.
Yeah, nice Q flash, and I didn't even realize he built a rocket belt this game, but considering the amount of champions that have so many dashes to get away from, it's a nice pickup. And meanwhile, the bombs on the map, you know, 369 was cooking on the top side, and JackeyLove just picks up another quadra kill for himself. Unfortunate for him that SeTab was on the other side, as he cannot pick up that pentakill that definitely could have been his. But top esports, a statement win to come back even after such a advantageous play around that first rotation of Grubs. It's not enough from ThunderTalk, and now top esports find themselves a match point in this series.
Despite early game woes, TS are getting it done. They're saying, okay, look, we're losing out on some of these Grub fights. We're also, I think their drafts are not really lending them a lot of credence. I think some of their setups can be a little bit lazy. However, they are making very good at, I think, showing off some of the level of these players without missing a beat. When we look at top esports, they kept their core of 369, Creme, and JackeyLove. The pieces that they changed out, Kanavi instead of Tien, and Crisp over Mako. So I think overall, you're still looking at a team that is trying to contend for the Dragon's Cup, or the Silver Cup here in LPL, but like their early games might be weak. I still think they are just performing at a really great level, and TT are not showing up on the day right now. It's sad to say. The ThunderTalk fans might be in the dumps right now. Kelsey might have to disappear from the chat in a little bit, regardless of what time zone it is right now. But she's gonna still be a staunch defender, I think, despite wins and losses. She had to struggle through their 2024 season. So I think a Demacia Cup loss is not necessarily going to go too far down the drain there.
Yeah, and we highlighted it at the top of the the pre-show for this semifinal that this was going to be ThunderTalk's tallest order to achieve. This is by far their toughest opponent left in the bracket, and at this point could be the favorites to win if this is the level they are performing at. Obviously, anyone's legend got a lot to say on the other side of the bracket as they're waiting for them in that final match in just 2 days time after besting Viego Gaming in their own respective semifinal. But just considering the base level that top esports is operating at with the minimum amount of stage games they've played with so far, this is a great way to start the 2025 season for them.
I wonder what the look is going to be in game 3, because again, we're in full fearless. We're going to have all of these champions gone. Maybe we get to have a Victor game. Maybe we get an Ambessa game. Just hoping. I want to see something a little bit spicy, and I mean, there's just so little damage here. Everyone, almost 3 members doing underneath the 10,000 threshold. Kanavi barely doing enough damage to kind of even breach something like Hoya. This was a game that was, I don't want to say it was slow, because the time is pretty similar to last game, and I think the level of action is pretty similar, but all the fights kind of just like instantly won, and then that's it. We didn't get anything super extended, and I think that also comes at the cost of having Beichuan not be on engage. I love to see him on AB junglers. It's one of his like kind of small niches as one of the few players kind of bringing it from solo queue, but I just don't think that this is the team that necessarily requires it, and you really want to be able to index more heavily on your mid and AD carry who have been performing so far in Demacia Cup, but today it is just not working out for the ThunderTalk Gaming squad.
And even with this surprising victorious fight in the first rotation of Void Grubs, where SeTab, beautiful stuff to pick up the honeyfruit just in the nick of time to give himself such a nice advantage. It's just not enough. Top Esports, their resolve and their determination to find, you know, these advantages throughout the game is just much more persistent than what ThunderTalk can muster for themselves. And Dimitri, I'm gonna start predicting a little crazy something here. Okay. Obviously, JackeyLove, once again, should be, you know, the favorite for the MVP. 2 quadra kills this game. I don't think it should be, you know,
I think it should be Kanavi again, guys.
No. You know what? If there's any time to vote for 369, if there's any time to vote for 369, it's in this game on the Mordekaiser, because the pick itself and the way he played in the level 1, level 2 turret dive was so damn funny to me. I think it's just like that. I would be on the media vote side to, you know, just cause a little funny business, a little mischief.
I'm okay with that. I thought you were gonna cook something a little rancid there, but the food is there. I'm liking it. I'm liking what you're putting down on the table here. So me personally, I agree. I think while JackeyLove's KDA is great, we got to see him, I think, perform in a couple of these fights. I think this Mordekaiser pick added so much value to the team, and we got to see, I think, some of the great parts of 369's game, which is his ability to play really strong, or really well on weak side, and his individual prowess on some great champions that he's made his name on throughout the years.
Only time will tell, as we've put in and cast in our own respective votes for MVP. As right now, the 369 propaganda is looking pretty good right now, you know, just based on the highlights we're seeing on screen. But returning to the conversation you had about what ThunderTalk and Top Esports are going to be looking for in their potential final draft as we get ready for Game 3. So many marksman champions are now off the table. We talked about the risk of having a double marksman composition